Welcome to the VRCade podcast brought to you by Brilliant Studios. Our goal is to have every arcade in the world on as our guest so that they can share their story. If you'd like to be on our show, please let us know on our Discord, which will be linked down below. Today we have two guests. We have Bryan and we have Caleb from Heroes Virtual Reality Adventures in Roseville, California. How are you doing, guys?
Doing well. How are you, Serge?
Good,
Good, good.
thanks. Good, doing very well. Thank you for coming on to the show. Really appreciate it.
Of
Happy to be
course.
here.
So, Bryan, if you could tell us about your venue and what made you decide to open up a VR arcade, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're Heroes Virtual Reality Adventures. We're just outside of Sacramento in Northern California. We
Hmm.
opened up mid 20 years in now. Sorry, I had a little flash in our tech there for a second.
Yep.
But yeah, so we opened up in 2018, and really what kind of got me started, what got me excited about VR is I had gotten to try, one of the Vive original Vive headsets early, probably about 2016,
Yep.
and that really sparked a refresh in kind of my more tech side background. As a kid, teenager, I did a lot of gaming and hadn't been doing as much in more recent years, but as part of a kind of a work project, got to see kind of firsthand. Ended up going to VR World in New York City, probably early 2017, and got so excited about again seeing it again. I'm like, all right, I'm going in whole hog. Got the gaming rig. Decided to get myself one of the Vives. And within like a week or two, I went from, man, I want to play this to I need to show everybody in the world
Yeah.
how amazing it is, because the future is now. Like, this is modern VR. This is all of the sci-fi movies. This is the beginning of that technology, right? And so I got super excited about that and sharing it with others, and so that quickly evolved into, maybe we could build something, because people need to know that this is here, that this is real. And at that time, very few people really were aware that VR that was good existed, right? There'd been a lot of the sour attempts, and I wanted to play kind of some small part of that journey and adoption of VR. And so kind of what I like to say is, the smartphones that we all have, got a little bit of a love-hate relationship with that. Is it's great, it's a powerful tool, but I also hate how crazy addictive they are, and it's kind of
Yeah.
changed some of the social interaction components. And so, we go to the movies, right? We go to the what is VR, and you've got some really awesome, like, Star Trek Next Gen holodeck kind of a deal and vibe I'm going, and you've got crazy dystopian futures where it's, enslaving all of humanity. And I'm like, I want to kind of tilt the needle more in the more favorable, positive direction, and
Yeah.
and have it be a force for good rather than a force for evil. And so I wanted to help introduce people to VR in some way and help them to see it as something that brings people together
Yeah.
versus becoming a tool for, cool, now I can live in a virtual world and I never have to talk to another human again. I wanted to go the opposite from that. Instead of, no, let's make this a social tool that lets us do things that we couldn't do any other way. And that ultimately became, what has now become Heroes VR.
Out of interest, what was the first VR game that you ever played then?
So I'll say, so the first VR experience I did was the Blue. So that was the very first thing that I ever got to do. But the game that had it in my veins, that I was like jonesing for, that prompted me to go out and get one, actually was Space Pirate Trainer.
Oh,
That
okay.
Yeah, I was just loving that it was in the game. And I can remember back to when I was, I think junior high, right? So I've got a fairly strong martial arts background, and so I've done that pretty much my whole life. And I suck at fighter games, like your Street Fighter, your
Yes.
Tekken games. I'm horrible, horrible, absolutely awful. Can't win to save my life. And it always kind of frustrated me that, like, I can actually do a fair amount of these moves short of the fireballs, and I can do a lot of these moves, but I cannot. I absolutely suck at this. I can't wait for the day where I get to be the controller and
Yeah.
actually have that matter and be relevant. And so when I was in Space Pirate Trainer, I had that feeling of, I'm dodging lasers, I'm doing this up and down, and my, that little bit of athleticism, because that's not a lot, but a little bit of athleticism, like, this is paying off. I'm now part of the controller. I'm part of the game, and this is kind of magical. So that was the one that really pushed me over the edge into making VR more than just a little experience that I did once.
I have to say, I've never played Space Pirate Trainer. I've played so many VR games, but I
Sure.
haven't played Space Pirate Trainer. I'm gonna have to give
It's
it a go
fun.
now.
Brian
Yeah,
might hang
it's
up right now. Yes.
How
sorry, we're
about
Easily.
done. We're done.
Yeah,
thanks for being on the show.
walks
Thanks for
out.
watching, everyone.
Yeah, right. That's where we end.
How about you, Caleb? What's your position within the company?
So I am the general manager for our entertainment venue, and then I am a design technician for our consultation side.
Hmm.
I run our day-to-day operations at our store in Roseville, all of our staff interactions, guest interactions. I do our content curations, anything pretty much boots on the ground. And on the consultation side, which I'm sure Brian will share a little bit more about later on. I do lab maintenance. I help build out our educational and our training labs for virtual reality education.
Hmm.
And then I'm one of the primary drivers for our extended reality uh, mission at the Los Rios district in Sacramento as well. So um, that's what I do on a pretty consistent basis. It's a lot of fun. I started out just wanted to go onto the entertainment side. My background has always been in customer service management, and team management.
Hmm.
And so my hobby had always been tech and games and VR. And actually, I had gotten a Rift S for my birthday in November, then got hired at Heroes in January. So kind of the same concept of I loved VR, and then when the opportunity came up to push it and really drive it home and show the masses it and have fun with everyone, it was right up my alley. And then to be able to get paid to do that too was a good um, it's a good motivator too. And then the interest went a lot more towards the consultation side of it.
Hmm.
And I really started enjoying the impact that I was making, not only bringing families together to have fun and enjoy themselves, but now I can help shape the people that are going to be our EMTs in the future, be our paramedics, our welders, our tradesmen across the board.
Hmm.
And so that's been a really cool part of what I do too.
Brian, what's your main worry like when you run your own VR arcade business? What's the thing that you worry about the most?
Let's see. So the thing that I probably worry about the most is that Caleb's not happy, uh, and that he had a response different than what he just said. So he's really been the lifeblood of Heroes. So up until very recent, I'm actually in a transition mode right now. But I've had a separate career outside, and
Hmm.
so as Caleb mentioned, right, he's really doing all of kind of the day to day. He's the front lines of the guest experience, the team building. He's the reason that we keep getting all those 5-star reviews.
Nice.
And so that front lines. So yeah, so he's the reason that Heroes has continued to thrive, because it has not been my force of will. Pretty much ever since becoming a dad, it's been a little bit more split. So career and dad life, and Heroes unfortunately has been not first. But then again, we're in a transition point right now, so I'm
Yeah.
coming in and getting to do a lot more with it. But maybe a little bit more. Well, no, that's 100% serious. So uh, Caleb staying happy is really kind of number one. But uh, outside of that, I guess I would say, um, I don't know. It's kind of tough. So here's the thing I don't worry about. I don't really worry about what other VRCades. We've got a couple of other in the area, so
Hmm.
I don't really worry about what they're doing. Um, Not really super concerned about kind of how the home headset market has developed. If anything, I think that there's been more opportunity as a result of headsets proliferating and being more common and available,
Hmm.
because we're not about, or our mission's shifted from we're going to be everybody's first experience to VR to now it's really much more the social venue for VR,
Yeah.
and providing that place where people get together. Because yes, you might have a Quest at home, cool. Well, we've got PC VR, which is, we know, an upgraded experience from standalone VR. And so we've got upgraded experience, we've got a bigger library than you have, and I'm pretty sure you don't have 4 of them at home. So this is where you can come and play with your whole group of friends and do something together in a way that you don't get to do at home. So I'm not really worried about that either. I guess, and I would say economic downturn,
Hmm.
but we made it through COVID,
Yeah.
so we're
I
we're
was
still
gonna say
here, we're still
COVID
kicking.
V2.
Yeah, so that's, we've rolled with those punches, and I think we're in probably a better position to weather what comes next than we were beforehand. So I think we can get through. So I think really it's just, I try and stay focused on the things we can do. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Caleb may have another perspective on the things that maybe keep him up at night. Maybe that GX score going down by a point.
Yeah, yeah, that GX car could go into that for days, but our guest satisfaction, I think that's a big one. We really pride ourselves on our guest experience, as Brian mentioned. As it's getting to the point in the world where you know people have tried VR before, and
Yeah.
the gap between, or I guess the split between how many people come in that have done it for the first time or done it before is minimizing, and it's starting to become like more of like a 50-50.
Hmm.
And so, what we've really focused on is the quality of the experience.
Yeah.
And anyone with this polo, we say is a VR guide, right? And so, at a bare minimum, you are a virtual reality guide. You are trained on every experience that we offer. You've played it through 100%. You're excited about it, and you know how to curate a guest experience from the second they walk through the door to the end. And so, so yes, I think the biggest thing that scares me is anything but a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds very bold, but we really pride ourselves on making sure that when you leave, you have nothing but a smile on your face, whether you've done VR 1,000 times, or it's your first time. Whether
Yeah.
you're 80 years old or you're 8 years old, absolutely no difference for us. And so, and I think that's where I find that we succeed the most. Is really just people, especially for our area. People say that we're that bar when it comes to customer service in this industry. So
Brian, what advice would you give to somebody that is looking to open up a VR arcade?
Yeah, so somebody's thinking about getting into VRCade. I
Hmm.
got to meet with some operators at an event recently, and I actually talked with a couple people who are in that sort of a headspace. And what I kind of see with people who are thinking about it and kind of doing their research and looking is, frankly, I think they tend to get lost on the hardware or chasing the latest tech. Is, oh well, this headset just came out, and so I need to go get that one because it's the newest and it's the best, and like, oh, or this peripheral came out, and so I want to add that because that's new, or which of the treadmills is the best.
Yeah.
And and frankly, I mean, the thing is when you're in tech, like there's such fast iterations and new generations of things that if you're always trying to have the latest and greatest, like you're gonna run yourself, broke, right? You're gonna run
Yeah.
yourself bankrupt overnight because it's just the cost of keeping up with that. And frankly, the reality, at least as I see it, as we see it, is the tech really does not guide the experience, right? It's really for us, it's much more about the guides themselves, right? The people in those slick polos there, right? That get that right, that are having the human experience.
Hmm.
That is the 90% of the what we do, right? The tech is sort of a given, and so I would encourage people not to get too lost on the, oh, I don't want to go right now because I'm waiting for this next thing to drop, and what's the highest uh, how much money can I spend on tech, essentially. Is, yeah, you can make it pretty, yeah, you can go get those newest and spend a whole bunch, but you're getting incremental changes and difference because the person who's never played VR before, who is usually not a gamer, who's not hardcore, doesn't understand the difference in chipsets or
Yeah.
pixel density or any of those types of things. They don't care, right? Is they want to know, did they get transported to another place? Did they get an experience that was great for them? So don't get too lost on the technical components of it because 90% of your customers don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. If they don't know, like you said, if they don't know the difference between the Quest 2 and the latest kind of headset from Pimax or whatever, I know obviously you can see a big difference, but it's like people from who've never played VR before just don't know the difference. It's there's
Right.
like everyone that we have on as a guest pretty much says the same thing. Don't worry about getting all the latest tech. Just get what you need to get started, basically, and then afterwards you can look into upgrading.
Right. Yeah. We notice because we're techie, which is why we're diving into opening a VRCade, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's passionate for us. It's, but again, your general purpose, they want it to work well, and so the smoothness of the experience, the
Hmm.
reliability of that it means a lot more than graphic fidelity uh, and all. Is it immersive because of the environment that you're creating?
What type of game do you think is missing from the VR arcade market?
Oh, yeah. So, um, I would love to see something that can merge a little bit more open world with with the arcade market. I
Hmm.
love I've always loved the idea of like having a consistent Minecraft server and then having everyone be able to join the same server at any given moment and hop on and play together, right? And you could have, this open world that was consistently being built on. And something about having that like constant world in the background kind of just running and anyone being able to jump on has always been fun to me.
Hmm.
Um, so I love to see something like that. I don't know 100% how well it would work in the arcade market. I know people like to save their games. They like to come back to things. They like to save their progress. And so, um, I would love to see something where, in an arcade setting, you could save that progress and you could, you know, come back to, you know, like an RPG of some sort that you could come
Hmm.
back and you could build on your character, right? You could enter in some sort of unique character ID that um, you could pull up your player from a cloud or something like that. And so I think that's one of the things that's really missing is once you leave the arcade, it's that's it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
lost your game. And so there are a few games here and there that have incorporated the leaderboard aspect where you can sync up with your venue and for Super Hot, for example,
Hmm.
right? We can have those leaderboards, and so that's been a big thing that kids love to come back and do. Is they'll say, well, my name is Tom, and I see Tom has dropped down that list to number 3. I'm going to spend my next hour trying to get back on the top of that leaderboard. And so, I think not even just for, the returning aspect of it, but just, I think it would increase the replayability
Hmm.
for the
Yeah.
title if you could come back and continue to build on it. I mean, we all love building our characters, right? We all love, getting new things and completing quests and being the best. And so, being able to do that at an arcade and pull up that player again, I think would be
Yeah.
really special.
Yeah. It's something that I mentioned as well recently as well. That a similar thing. I think it's quite a big task to get the kind of IDs and to get everything to work. I'm not technical, I'm not a developer, but it would be great. It would
Right.
be great. How about you, Brian? What would be your dream game? Like a kind of Street Fighter game where you actually do the fireballs with your hands and all that kind of thing and the kicks?
Maybe at some point, I don't I've not yet seen the full body tracking quite to the point
Yeah.
where I'd be satisfied with something like that. So soon. But as far as the existing, what I think is more potential for right now, and I
Hmm.
know that day's going to come soon. I actually liked a lot of what Caleb said, and we didn't sync up our answers beforehand, but kind of the ability to come back and pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key pieces. So again, we are an arcade environment, which means you're coming in and you want short form. You want short form entertainment and fun, ideally in a social context. So for
Hmm.
me, is for me, I think a little bit more in terms of like a Halo type of a deal, right? So you've got, and I know there's plenty of the PvP shooters like run around kind of the battle royale
Yeah.
component, but so for me, I like playing Halo on a more cooperative standpoint. So
Yes.
my friend and I, or my brother and I, we're gonna hop in and we're gonna run and we're gonna work our way kind of through the campaign and we're gonna blast a bunch of aliens. Boy, we're done for the night, and then we're next time we sit back down, we're picking up where we left off,
Yeah.
right? And that kind of picking up from the same checkpoint spot in the game. So I'm continuing the larger story because I think right now what I haven't seen as much is there are some excellent longer form games. So you've
Hmm.
got like Half-Life Alyx, right? You've got some of that are trying to get into the more narrative component. Those long arcs take a while and they're hard to put into the arcade environment where So, for example, Half-Life Alex is easy for the next person to walk in and pick up from your save game, right? And so when I come back, am I really going to start from the same spot? Probably not, right? I might be able to choose a general level,
Yeah.
maybe, but it's not really my character. It's just it's unlocked, so I can pick that level next. And so that ability to come in and find where were we and continue that, again, probably something that's sort of cloud based, so it doesn't have to be the exact same system, the exact same piece every time, but where is that, that is casual enough in nature, and also I think cooperative in nature, because I think the PvP element is really strong. There's obviously, people pushing the esports kind of component.
Yeah.
But what I think and what I have seen is there's a stronger, compelling piece for the cooperative play. Is because I'm coming with my friends, and
Yeah.
so I want to accomplish a goal with my friends. I want us to be the champions, not I was the champion and I kicked your butt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I love co-op as well. I love Halo. Uh, I would love to see Halo in VR. That's like a dream. That is a dream game.
Yeah,
That co-op Halo in VR, I would never do it. I would just hide in my room forever.
that's right. But
All
you'd be
right.
playing with your friends at least, right?
Yeah.
You'd still be connecting
Oh,
via
of course.
Halo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, Brilliant better get on that. I mean, now the clock's ticking.
Okay, well, give us 3 months. We'll have a fully fledged Halo for you.
Sounds good. Yeah. If only they could move that fast, right?
The
Love it.
last question that we ask everybody before we end the podcast is what are your plans for the future? So let's start with you, Brian.
Sure. So plans for the future, I think for us, Caleb had mentioned earlier, we're excited about helping the next phase of VR, of what we see as VR's evolution, right?
Mhm.
Which is, it was this brand new bleeding edge tech several years ago, and then kind of when we started, right? And so we were helping to introduce the world. That's more the B2C environment on, hey, VR is here, the future is coming. I mean, it's just a matter of continual graphics improvements and, you know, slight UI tweaks type of thing. But this is the technology that will continue to grow into all the stuff we've seen in the movies.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty well been accomplished, right? Most people know that VR exists. Again, whether they've tried it or not, we're there, or we're still working on. But I would say in our area, probably the majority have, probably like 60% have played VR already. But
Okay.
where I'm excited to go is now help to implement at a larger scale, which is to help impact how our companies, corporations, schools, other teams using VR to actually further their goals and objectives, right? Not just from an entertainment venue. Entertainment is super fun. I think there's a continued great promise there. But I love the idea of VR being able to help you get in reps. Caleb mentioned how much he doesn't like the role playing, or our team doesn't like role playing scenarios, right? But you could do a VR scenario which doesn't feel like role playing. It
Yeah.
feels like having a real experience, and you can get those types of reps in building, in skill building,
Yeah.
that you kind of can't do any other way. And when necessary, for a lot of those things that have high stakes jobs, or high stakes tasks, whether that I need to have a really difficult conversation with someone, and so I need a person to react the way a person might, or
Hmm.
I'm trying to get a job where I could die if I make a mistake in touching the wrong, piece of metal over from
Yeah.
here to there. I could get electrocuted, etc. That's super compelling, and that gets me really juiced about what VR is useful for, because now potentially we're saving lives. We're getting the skill building that's probably very hard to do any other way. And so for us, helping to be kind of that ambassador now of VR, not from the B2C, but from a B2B component,
Hmm.
and helping it to get adopted in a way that really serves purpose, is where I'm excited to go next.
Yeah. There's so many use cases for VR, so many,
Totally.
and there's a lot. There's a lot of different areas of just so many different things like training and that kind of thing, like you were saying, and it can definitely help save lives. Like for example, like hostage situations, like police shootings or firemen,
Totally.
all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, very important. How about you, Caleb? What's your plans for the future?
So, I think it's a good thing that I mirror Brian's pretty well, being
Yeah.
his employee. So I think that's definitely where I'm the most excited. I love what I do at the entertainment venue.
Mhm.
I love being able to introduce it to the people who walk in the door and say, "Gosh, what the heck is this?" That's a lot of fun, and I don't think that that's ever going to end, because we're always going to have a generation of people who, or at least for a long time, going to have a generation of people who probably have never tried it before, and are always going to walk in and say, "Gosh, what the heck is this?" And so I'm excited to continue that. I'm excited to continue to upgrade our venue as the times change, and continue to curate that, and work with a really solid team that's excited about it. But I gotta say, there's a huge part of me that has a little bit more of a chip on my shoulder when I talk about the training aspect of it and the educational side. Making that change is so much more. There's just so much more of an impact at the end of the day when
Mhm.
you've trained a group of nurses.
Yeah.
In some of the programs we're using, I mean, it's equally as beneficial for the instructors as well. Being able to go from, well, we have a whole room full of people that are pumping on dummies, and there's one or two instructors that have to go around the room, make sure
Yeah.
everyone's doing the right thing, or you know and record that feedback and then follow up with them about that feedback. And so not only the benefit for the real life scenarios that the students are going through, and being able to go through that trial and error in almost realistic scenarios, but it's also the instructors that are able to um, have that piece by piece recorded feedback of, at 30 seconds, Bryan gave this guy the wrong medication. At 45 seconds, Bryan asked, "What's your dog's name?" And it's like, dude, this guy's dying. What are you doing? Right. And so, being able to put like EMTs through those types of scenarios, and like Bryan was saying, potentially save a life.
Yeah.
That's the big one. And so, we're working really closely even with, architects, right? And having architects walk through their 3D models and collaborate together so that they can go back and they can edit it and change it in things like Revit and, different 3D editors that I'm not totally familiar with. But things like that. I mean, the range is massive. And so,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm consistently surprised on a daily basis the departments at colleges that come to us interested in VR,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of fun finding the ways to support them. Whether it's, like I said, architects, welders, auto mechanics, all the way up to surgeons. Right, we're helping.
Yeah.
We have things from different companies where they can go through knee surgeries, and it's one of the things that fail more than any other types of surgery. And so you can only imagine having someone go through it over and over and over again and get through those errors is very beneficial. So I gotta say, that's definitely one of the things I get way more antsy about and excited about. And I hope that we're able to continue to expand and have multiple different labs, and have a whole fleet of XR headsets that we have pretty much checked out like Chromebooks throughout different colleges.
Yeah.
Right, that's my goal. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. It's great that you guys are kind of on the same page with what you're looking to do in the future. I think you make a really good team as well. We can just tell that you guys work together really well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You try. He gives me some crap every once in a while, but we
Yeah.
get through it.
Yeah.
We get through it.
I'm sure you don't deserve any of it either.
Absolutely not. I'm perfect. I'm sorry,
He
boss.
gives
It'll
me
happen
plenty back,
again.
by the way.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Really appreciate it. It's been really, really fun, and it's great to hear your thoughts on the industry and how you got started, and how you run your business.
Thank you, Serge. It was great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, everyone at home, for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.